Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Here in this video, we will discuss everything that's happening in the markets today and specifically with AMC stock. I will tell you right off the bat, AMC stock is up about 1% today. The Russell 2000 itself is outperforming. A couple different things that are happening that could be leading to this outperformance of AMC stock today. Number one, Nvidia is down about 3.5%. Fantastic news for the markets if Nvidia goes down and the S&P and the Nasdaq can relatively hold up. Why? Because you need to see a dispersion of capital. As capital is really pooled into Nvidia, into your AI stocks, it sucked the life out of other areas of the market. So when you see Nvidia down, that's actually a healthy thing considering the stock has rallied so much. And recently on days where Nvidia has been down, a considerable amount, let's say 3%, that's a pretty decent down day for Nvidia. You have seen somewhat a broadening out of the markets and you have seen your small cap stocks outperform. Now, not all stocks, obviously some have done better than others when Nvidia is down, but that's generally been the overall trend. With that being said, you are starting to get more people talking about AMC's latest move, and that is expanding the popcorn deal into Kroger and public stores. Now, I'll tell you right now, I think that's pretty important for AMC to drive, more revenue, right? More profits down the line, because the popcorn business is very high margin. And I'm sure that's the same for AMC. Now, when you think about specifically Kroger's here, there's a lot of Kroger's stores, okay? There's a lot of Walmart stores too. That's the deal that they've had for the better part of the last year or so. But there's more Kroger stores around me than there are Walmart stores, right? And Kroger's is in a very specific demographic as well that maybe is not going to be accustomed to Walmart, more not smaller town areas, but like, let's say population centers that are 5 to 20,000 people, right? The towns and cities around me are 5 to 10,000 people, right? I live in Michigan. That's a considerable, area, but it's not big enough to support a Walmart. It is large enough to support Kroger's. So there's a lot of Kroger's here in Michigan, and that's just because the town sizes can be on the smaller side sometimes, but still larger demographics, right? You put 10,000 people in a town, that's not a small like one street town. That's a decent little city, believe it or not. I know some of you guys might live in like LA or something. You're like, that's tiny. There's 4 million people that live in LA. Yeah, I get it, but it's not as small as you might think. So nonetheless, I think the deal with Kroger's really helps them expand their reach to more people. I do definitely think this was a good move for AMC. Whether or not it fundamentally adds anything to the business, we'll have to wait and see, but that could be a reason why AMC stock has held up a little bit better in recent days and is doing a little bit better today. You're seeing more news wires and publication sources talking about this expansion with AMC's popcorn. So great news there. Can't go wrong. Now, the other aspect of what's going on today is yesterday you've seen a big underperformance of small and mid-cap stocks. Interest rate sensitive stocks did not do well. And I think today you're just getting a little bit of rotation in that sense, where some of your big tech names kind of selling off. The Nasdaq down almost 1% today. Who knows where we'll be by the end of the close today, or even by the end of this video. The markets have been a little bit more volatile lately. If you've been down a lot, sometimes you end up going positive. If you've been up a lot, sometimes, well, not all the time, you tend to fall a little bit towards the end of the day. So anything can still happen here. Now, AMC stock is up about 1.5% today. You've kind of just been trading sideways here, right up against your 50-day moving average. That's the level you really want to break out above to get a larger rally going for AMC. That's where the bulls can start to get in control and maybe see some larger upside here. Now, I think you may need a catalyst. I think you may need a reason for AMC to get going going to that degree, but you're sitting right there at that 50-day moving average as is. Your 50-day moving average is at $4.51 per share. AMC stock is currently at about $4.40 per share. So just a couple of cents away from that 50-day moving average. It's served as a lot of resistance lately, and if you break out above that, you could potentially extend up to your 100-day moving average, which is right at about $6.16 per share. So that would be quite a bit of upside if we were indeed to break above that 50-day moving average. Things could get pretty aggressive to the upside. Now, tomorrow could be the day in which that does happen. We do have some events happening tomorrow. We really don't have much as far as today. Again, I think today is a lot of digestion from the CPI report that we got. I think people today are realizing, well, maybe CPI was not as strong as we previously thought. And that's why you're kind of seeing a neutraling out of what we seen yesterday, right? Yesterday, big tech outperformed. Interest rate sensitive stocks underperformed. Today, interest rate sensitive stocks are outperforming and big tech is underperforming. I think you're just kind of going neutral for the CPI report and what we've seen yesterday. Now, here on the day today for AMC stock, we have seen one institutional trade totaling about $41,000. This was a bearish trade. You have a positive order value of 0%. Now, volume today to the call side is very strong, 84.14% call volume and 15.86% put volume. So this is 5 times as many calls than puts. That is, my friends, very, very strong. Okay. But when you look at hedge funds and institutions, not a lot of option activity in AMC as far as large orders. But that total volume number is definitely skewed towards the call side. Now, if you take a look at the short interest has been doing some very weird, wonky things as of lately. It went down a little bit. I'm sure it's about to go higher, considering the last couple of days have been a little bit on the redder side. AMC short interest off free float currently at 12.91%. Overall, it's went a lot higher recently since the lows of about 7% back in early January of 2024. So I do expect this to rise, and I think ultimately we will probably trend back to 20, maybe higher than 20, coming by summertime. Now, obviously, things can happen by summertime, so we'll see where things ultimately shake out by then. But I do think the short interest is going to rise in the meantime. Now, you do have $147.01 million currently in short positions in AMC with days to cover of 2.12, so 2.12 days to cover. You do have 33.87 million shares that are currently sold short. Shares out on loan, 44.42 million. Cost to borrow, 1.09%. Utilization of 59.83%. And a short score of 67.03 out of 100. So definitely not the best looking data here, but not the worst either. I think it looks okay for what it is and where AMC stock is. You do have cost to borrow fees at about 3% as well, so that is worth mentioning. Now, if you take a look at the Stonko tracker data, this week's going to be a volatile week. We know we have a lot of call activity. We have a lot of put activity as well. You do have calls in the money at about 10,300, calls out the money about 270,000. So literally hundreds of thousands of calls here that are on this week's expiration. This is a quarterly option expiration. There's trillions and trillions of dollars in derivatives and options specifically that expire on the markets this week. So maybe we'll see a little bit more volatility this week. Now, in the money puts at about 31,000, out the money puts at about 111,000. So decent amount of option activity on the put side, and that as well should not be overlooked. Okay, if we take a look at StockTwits and what's going on with AMC stock here with the sentiment from mostly retail investors, I think that's pretty fair to say. You do have sentiment at 46. That is a little bit lower than yesterday's 56. So sentiment today is neutral. Message volume is at 48. Yesterday it was at 44. So a little bit more message volume, a little bit more activity overall you're seeing on the AMC thread. And participation ratio is at 55, which is pretty consistent with what we have seen in recent weeks. We do have the percent of stocks above their 50-day moving average currently at 58.31%. You've been slowly trending higher ever since you did hit about early February, and 43% of stocks were above their 50-day moving average. But I mean, you're just not that strong of a market considering the SPY and the triple Qs are sitting at all-time highs. It could be a lot better than what it is. And I think if you were seeing 70-80% of stocks above their 50-day moving average, the markets would likely be in a much healthier and higher place, in my personal opinion. This concentration that we have seen in the markets is far from healthy, I think we can say that, and inevitably it's likely to correct. Now, we do have some data coming out tomorrow morning that will be critically important for markets, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the next video, but it's going to be PPI and retail sales. So we're going to get a data report that is closely related to PCE, and that is PPI, Producer Price Index, Producer Price Inflation, and retail sales, which is directly tied to the economy and the consumer. You know, weakening retail sales may be a negative thing because, I mean, after all, you know, if we do go into some kind of recession or slowdown in the economy, that's going to be very, very bad news. But today we're really not getting any data, nothing new. There's no Fed speakers today. There's just a whole lot of nothing today. So today's the chillest week of all of them for our markets. Now, if we take a look at what earnings will be coming out here in after hours, we do have UiPath as well as Centennial One, Lennar, EES, VRoom, Generon, Valco Energy, FTC Solar, Anika, and Coin that will be reporting, not coin as in crypto, but Coin with a Q down here. So there is that. Tomorrow in pre-market, Dollar General, Dick's Sporting Goods, Futu, Canadian Solar, Build-A-Bear Workshop, and some other names. And then Thursday and after hours, tomorrow and after hours, it's going to be your larger earnings of this week with Adobe, Blink, Ulta Beauty, and PagerDuty. So definitely keep the earnings story in mind, especially with Adobe. That one is one that a lot of Wall Street is going to be paying attention to. Even next week, I believe we have FedEx and a couple other companies that will be reporting earnings still. So earnings season pretty much lasts every week now. It seems like earnings season is really not over. And by the time we're getting through some of these earnings, you're going to be getting Q1 earnings from other companies. Q1 ends at the end of March, and then you'll start getting the banks in early to mid-April. So this earnings season has lasted a long time now. It's gonna end, and then a new one's gonna start right up again. So very eventful next couple of months that we have in our markets, that's for sure. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.